All right, well, the gang is back together, and boy, what a big story to bring Jeff Goodman back to the table, along with Ryan Gary Tanguay, and welcome to the Ryan Goodman Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast. Okay, gentlemen, this is pretty much a one-topic day. Jeff is back on the ground. I'm going to start with you. Here it is. It's Durant, Smart, and picks is what we're hearing out there for, not Durant, excuse me, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and picks for Kevin Durant. Just your thoughts. Is this a reality? What are you hearing?
I think certainly it's something that has been explored from both sides, right? I mean, Sean Marks is trying to acquiesce to Kevin Durant's demands, but I think he's trying to slow play it too, hoping that he can keep Kevin Durant there with Kyrie and Ben Simmons and see what happens. Brad Stevens holds the cards, right? Nobody else has what the Celtics have, which is a all-star caliber player, young player in Jaylen Brown, plus picks, plus other parts. And, we've heard that Derek White was on the table with Jaylen Brown and picks. That wasn't enough for Sean Marks. So Brad Stevens isn't going the Marcus Smart route yet. And I don't think he has to. Now, my take on this one, and I don't know where you stand on this, Robert, but I go back and forth every 10 minutes whether I would do this trade. And you guys know how I feel about Jaylen Brown. Like, I'm not the biggest Jaylen Brown fan. He's gotten a lot better. This isn't about Jaylen Brown to me. This is about trusting this version, this what'll be 4.0 version of Kevin Durant in Boston. Do I trust it enough to trade a guy in Jaylen Brown that I think is a really, really good player, not a superstar, but that next tier player for not only 34 and injured? I get all that with Kevin Durant. I'm more worried, Bob, about this Kevin Durant and his mental state and his emotional state. And I don't know. I don't trust him like I used to trust him. Is that fair?
With very good reason. I agree about that aspect of it. I think that we know that in terms of mental states and unpredictability and volatility and all that, Kyrie is in a world of his own. I know, really. I'm trying to avoid hyperbole here. I'm sure that we have never encountered a package of talent and unreliability of this nature type of unreliability because of his unfathomable, persona. Okay. Now Durant is nothing like that, but he is not what he once was. Right. And the scar, he has never, I'm playing, galaxy of far away armchair psychology. He's never gotten over the criticism he received for going to Golden State.
Agreed.
And it changed his relationship in his mind with the public, with the basketball fans. And it's made him a much more defensive, wary, and not disagreeable, but, contrary person in general. And I totally agree with you. You have to be careful what you're getting.
Can't you believe you're saying this? Isn't it crazy that you're saying right now that you wouldn't trade Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant?
No, it's not just the one-on-one, but plus the fact.
Yeah, but it's the one-on-one. It is, Bob.
All right.
If Kevin Durant was Kevin Durant and he didn't have some of these questions, you would say empty all of it to get him and Jason Tatum together. And now by the way, you've got Malcolm Brogdon, even if you trade Smart.
This is right. You do have Brogdon, which is what definitely it makes, in one sense, Smart expendable in a way he wasn't, except you're messing up your depth now, which was the whole point of getting Brogdon and Gallinari. Right. Because of your paucity, your lack of production on the bench.
Derek White's your backup then. He's your backup point. Brogdon becomes your starting point guard. And Derek White is your backup, which he was, and he's fine in that role.
Guys, let me just throw this. Bob, I'm sorry, I want to throw this into the conversation. Sorry. I'll let you continue. Jeff said if Kevin Durant was Kevin Durant, you would make the deal in a minute, but he wouldn't be available. Right. Bob, whenever we have situations like this, right, there's a fly in the ointment, right? That's the old. So it's often,
sure, guys. There's always, not always, but so often The only reason somebody's available is that there's a negative thing attached to him, and that's the only reason he's available. And then we definitely, I think we're going to be in unanimous agreement that he's you have to be careful with him. He's wary. You should be wary of him. Personally.
Let me throw this out at you guys. I had this discussion with my 17-year-old son, and we were talking about, he was really disappointed in the way Tatum played last year, how he disappeared in the playoffs and in the finals. And, I sometimes go old bastard on him, or I go, look, with Magic and with Michael and with Larry, and I'm probably forgetting some players, it was all about the W's. That was it. It was like, I still think Michael Jordan's the greatest player that ever played. I give him a smidge above LeBron because it was the only thing that mattered was the win and the championship. And with this generation of NBA talent, we know that's not the case. There's a lot of other factors that enter into it.
Not their fault, though, Gary. Not
their
fault.
Jeff, I'm not pointing. No, this is an observation. Yep. Correct. Not their fault. No, and they're young. They're so young.
But even LeBron, even LeBron, not young. Look at the world he's had to navigate compared to the world that Michael Jordan needed.
No question.
Completely
fair
different.
Point. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. But here's the game changer for me. And Jeff, I'll let you respond first. For the first time, Kevin Durant has a chip on his shoulder, and he has something to prove. Is he going to go out the way he went out last year? He has something to prove. And for me, and I hear what you're saying, Jeff. Yeah. I see the upside with Brown. But is the X factor the fact that you have a veteran in Kevin Durant who has something to prove? Is that why you make the deal?
Well, listen, and again, I'll flip back to your side right now. Kevin Durant doesn't go out and party. All he wants to do is play ball, work on his game, play video games, and tweet at people. That's it. That's right. It. Like, the great thing about Kevin Durant is, again, if he came to Boston, he is all about playing ball, getting better, and winning. I still, and maybe it's unfair, I can't get it out of my mind how he played in that series against the Celtics. For some reason, like, I'm not saying it supersedes everything he's done, because he had a hell of a regular season. How he played when he was healthy in the regular season, he might have been, again, it was like top-notch version of Kevin Durant in a way. And to see him and Tatum together, you talk about like almost carbon copies. They're about as close as it is. Obviously, KD's got a few inches on him, but they're both you put them as kind of the prototype multi-dimensional forward, both of them. So I hear you. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I hear you about all of it. And for me, Bob, it's about the 2-year window. Like, I know people talk about Jaylen Brown 2 years from now. What's he going to do? To me, these days in pro sports, you're playing for this year and maybe a year from now. Right. You have no idea what's going to happen beyond that. So to me, if I'm making this straight, I'm saying, you know what? We're going to have a chance to win it all for the next 2 years. Well, you're going to have a chance to win it all with or without Kevin Durant in the next 2 years, aren't you?
I think so. That's why by the way, I'll get right to it. I do not want to make this deal. And I just do not. And I want to win with this team. I like the additions of Brogdon and Gallinari. I think it's conceivable that that's enough to get them where they need to be. I want to win with these guys. I don't need Kevin. This is me. I'm speaking as a fan now. I'm not speaking as some alleged writer. I'm speaking as a fan. I want to win with this group. I want to give these guys a chance. I love the way Brown played in the playoffs, in the finals. I like what he brings. I like that tenacity.
This group's better. This group got better with Brogdon and Gallo. So they got better.
We don't need him. I don't want to do it. I do not want to do it.
And you know what? I think I side with you, Bob. Now, again, if it's Jaylen, Derek White, and a pick, I'm super torn. I don't want to part with Marcus Smart because I think if you trade Jaylen and Marcus Smart, you're also getting rid of your two toughest dudes.
Oh, you are. You absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, let's break this down. Gary Washburn has a good thing in the Boston Globe today too. I don't know if you guys you guys are on the same page. I think with Gary, it was either today or yesterday. With the internet, I can't remember. I don't know when.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it's yesterday. It was a good piece, and I think that Gary falls in line with what you guys are saying.
I totally agree with what he. Yes, he does.
Yeah, what he said.
What did he say?
So, basically, he said that Durant's a great move, but the positives outweigh the negative in keeping Jaylen Brown. And the point that Gary made is that every summer that Jaylen's gotten better.
Yep.
Every summer Jaylen's gotten better. Like I did. First of all, I am a huge Jaylen Brown fan as a person and as a basketball player. I think as a person, I'm a huge fan of this guy. I've seen what this guy's done for people who are sick, charity. Yep. I mean, I still think his greatest achievement is going to be in politics when he's done. So I am a Jaylen Brown. I mean, I will work on the campaign. But I didn't think he would be this good. He has. Yeah, I mean,
he thought he could do this, Gary.
Yeah.
Nobody thought he could shoot.
I mean, yeah. So, so what's the thing? He's got to work on now, Jeff, to me, is the handle, right? He's got to work on the handle.
Hard to work on. That's
right,
all.
But that's the thing, right? Every summer we've seen something. Now he has to work on the handle.
It might be what it is, okay? And even if it is, the one thing I'll say is, finally, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown complement one another, right? They're passing to each other. They're playing off one another. They're very different players. I think I would rather have that than two guys that I don't want to say completely duplicate one another, but are similar. And the chemistry was good last year. Brogdon coming in and Gallo coming in. I don't think that's going to change the chemistry at all. What's your take, Bob? Was the shake my head tweet from Jaylen Brown, was that simply just him saying, here we go again, my name involved in trade rumors? That's all that was, right?
I choose to look at it that way.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about losing him. I mean,
we got 2 years.
He's too stable. He gets it.
Yeah.
And again, however he feels this moment can change dramatically. Look at how he felt a year ago and look at how the team felt a year ago. And then how they feel now as far as the organization, the building.
6 months ago.
I'm sure he's jealous of Jason Tatum and all the accolades Jason Tatum gets, even though he went up and, Jaylen was clearly the better player on the biggest stage. I'm sure that frustrates him. But again, things can change. If Jaylen takes another step forward and becomes a top 10 player in the NBA, then we're talking about 1A and 1B. Right now, to me, still clearly the pecking order is Jason Tatum is one of the top 5 or 10 best players on the planet. Jaylen Brown, to me, is still a fringe all-star because of the fact that he still can't dribble in the half court. He still has to work on his decision-making. But he's a hell of a player. And like you said, Gary, he's gotten better every single year.
Yeah. Bob, let's talk about what we saw last year in the playoffs, because I'll throw this at you. Did we overrate the Celtics because they made it to the finals when Milwaukee was hurt, when obviously the Nets were in disarray? And could that cloud our judgment on how close they are?
I think your point about the Bucks is well taken. I have had this discussion with friends and fans about that idea that we have to remember they beat Milwaukee without Middleton, and that's not a little difference. That's not a little thing. That's a significant thing, and we'll never know. I mean, we know how explosive they were at times in that series, but so yes, it should have you not being giddy about their chances of repeating. They're going to have to work at it, but say yes, that you have to. There's a but attached to beating Milwaukee, and that was the fact that Middleton was not there.
Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. This episode of the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 because I wanted a well-balanced diet and I wanted something to improve my everyday lifestyle. I didn't have the time. Wanted better gut health, more energy, optimized immune system, hated taking pills, vitamins. I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. Wanted to see what the hype was about. All right, I know what you guys are probably guessing. What is this stuff, right? Well, with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. all the things. An extra dose of energy is always something that can help me get through my day. And what's great about AG1 is that it's lifestyle friendly. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Support better sleep quality and recovery. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than that cold brew habit. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews and is recommended by professional athletes. Right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/hoops. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/hoops to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/hoops.
The whole narrative could have changed. It would have changed, not dramatically, because again, they still flipped it. They flipped the whole season. So no matter what, you were going to feel pretty good about yourself. Even if you lost to Milwaukee in a team that had Chris Middleton, you weren't going to come away feeling down. Now the expectations are different. Now they're a title contender. They would not have been a title contender had they lost to Milwaukee with a healthy Chris Middleton. That's the difference. Now the expectations are about as high as they could possibly be.
Is the addition or of the players as Gallo and Brogdon, is that enough to handle Milwaukee? Jeff, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like to me, those are 2 much needed pieces, right? We need what did Bob and I say all year? You need a shooter. You need another shooter to space the court. Well, now you got a guy who's older and can't guard anybody, but you know what? No matter what, he'd go 0 for 7 from 3. They still got to pay attention to him out there. They got to respect him because he's done it. He's the perfect addition for that, the veteran shooter that has proven it. And Malcolm Brogdon is perfect because he's like so different than Marcus Smart in so many ways, right? They're both really good defensively. They do it differently. Brogdon, a high IQ player who makes the right decision 9.5 out of 10 times. He's not the athlete Marcus Smart is. Plays with great pace, just more of a true point guard, even though he's not a true point guard.
Yeah, Bob, where does the coach enter into this? And let me present a scenario for you here, Udoka. All right, he's Coach Durant, correct? I think I have that right. He was an assistant, right? So we know that Udoka is the player whisperer because we saw it last year. So what do you think Udoka thinks? Because Brad's got to go to Ime and say, look, do you want to make this deal?
Of course he does.
What do you think? Okay, Bob, what do you think?
I know he's going to think. Well, you're right. Make a good point because if he has had a relationship to look at to see into Durant, I mean, these other guys are his pups, if you will. I don't know what he thinks. That's a very, very good point. It's an excellent point.
I think that's the X factor.
And I think he'll go. Yeah, that's a good one. No, I haven't thought about that, but I have to say now I'm having to think about that. And I really don't know because we don't know what he thinks about Durant. We do not.
And I think, the other part is, you're right, Gary. Brad, being that he was a coach and probably wanted more input, as most coaches do, on personnel decisions, now moving over, he can kind of empathize a little bit with Ime, right? Sure. And I'm sure he does go to him a little bit more than a lot of general managers go to their coaches. And Brad's personality is that way anyway, right? His personality is making sure everybody's comfortable, making sure everybody's happy, probably too much so. But I'll tell you what, I give Brad credit here for having these discussions because it would have been easy for Brad Stevens to not pick up the phone.
Yeah, I'm good.
Call Sean
Interesting in theory, in general terms, and not just the Boston Celtics in this specific circumstance, but in general terms, our thinking on these matters about the thought of a coach and the thought of a GM is that we think the coach thinks in the short term, saving my butt and my job, and the GM can think in the long term, thinking about, the 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, as opposed to the coach thinking about, I want to keep my job. That's the normal process that we think exists. To what extent that exists in this circumstance, we don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah. I think everything's changed too, Bob. Again, going back to what I said earlier, like in the old days, you knew you were going to have your team for a while. Now, I think most coaches and GMs probably are a little bit more in alignment of like, hey, we got to win now. We got to win. Other than
and owners, Jeff, and owners too.
Right.
I mean, these guys have bigger egos than ever. I mean, I just think of like Bomber with the Clippers. I mean, owners don't want to suck. They don't.
No, unless they've been in mediocrity for a while and they know they got a bottom out.
These guys are coming in with big bucks. I mean, Wick's no different. I mean, the great thing about Celtic ownership is they're in it to win. I mean, we've seen it. It doesn't always work. The Kyrie thing didn't work, but still, hey, they took a shot. They made a deal everybody thought was a great deal. I mean, they didn't hesitate.
With Brad, So do you think Brad would have the cojones to make this trade at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
I do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's not an issue. Definitely.
See, I thought it would be. I honestly, when Brad took over as GM, we had some of these conversations. My biggest concern was, is he too nice a guy? It's going to be too hard for him to part ways with a Jaylen Brown, who he coached from the time when he came into the league. Like the relationship part of it, I worried about with Brad Stevens. Now, I really don't. I don't worry about it.
No. Timmy Welch told me this, former Providence coach in ESPN, when they first hired Brad, and he just said to me, he goes, Brad's tougher than people think. He just said he goes, Brad is tougher than people think. That's all, and I think he's right. I mean, look, I would love to have the guy for a neighbor, but I think he's going to do whatever he thinks is best for the team. This is what I think, guys, this is what I would do if anybody cares what I think. And I think this is a smart decision is he goes to Ime and go, Ime, do you want to make this deal? Do you want to make this deal? Because he's the guy that's got to control the alignment.
Yes, I think if those two are in alignment,
you want to make the deal.
Yes.
You got to control the locker room. You got to handle the fact that Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown could be going out of town. How does that make the team feel?
Well, you don't want to piss off Ime also. If Ime is not behind the deal,
don't make it.
Yeah.
Don't make it. If Ime's not, if Ime doesn't want to make this deal, I mean, I don't make it. That's my thing. That's because I'm with you guys. And to kind of put a bow on this discussion, I've been back. Well, at first I was like, oh my God, you make this deal in a heartbeat. And then I started thinking, the wheels start turning, right? You start thinking about how Jaylen Brown improved so much and on and on and on.
And the chemistry is good
and then, but here's where I'm at. If Ime says, make the deal, I make the deal because of this. And this is the tiebreaker for me. Jaylen Brown could do it, but he hasn't done it.
True.
Kevin Durant wants to do it again, and he has done it. That's it. That's my tiebreaker, and it's like 51-49. That's it. Because this could bite us in the ass. I mean,
just imagine how much fun though it would be to watch Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant play together.
Yeah, I mean
they did it in the Olympics, right? But to me, to have them be with like Malcolm Brogdon giving him the ball, they'd be fun to watch. Whether you do the deal or not, I would say this: they're the two most. I said it this past year. I tweeted out that Jason Tatum might be the most complete player in the NBA. Kevin Durant's really the most complete player in the NBA. He is. I mean, what can't he do? He can do everything on both ends of the court.
And he's got something to prove. I mean, that's just the thing to me. I mean, I don't know, guys. It's going to be fascinating, and it's going to give us something to watch because you guys know as well as I do, this thing is going to go on for a couple of months, and Nuggets are going to triple.
Yeah, because if you're Brad, why are you in any rush?
No, you're not.
You're not competing.
Same thing for the Nets.
Anybody else. So you play the waiting game here until Sean Marks calls you and says, "Oh man, like we got nothing else here. We got nothing else." And the key is going to be Kevin Durant here. Does Kevin Durant go back to Sean Marks and say, I am not coming back? If he does that, then if you're Brad Stevens, you might win.
Right.
If Kevin Durant, after another month or two, says, you know what, I'm going to give this a try with Kyrie again. Me and Kyrie are still boys, and, Ben's in shape, his back's better, and let me give it a shot for a few months and see if we can make this work.
So do you, Jeff, I want to give you the floor on this final. Do you want to ask Bob a question about the greatest player to ever come out of Maine?
I do. So I was at the Peach Jam, which I go to every year in Augusta. This past, I just got back, and I saw the best player who will ever come out of Maine. And I feel super he's 15 years old, Bob.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this. He will be the best player ever to come out of Maine.
Better than Dougie Roberts from my hometown. Better than Gary Toll. Oh, my God.
Better than them all. It isn't. His name is Cooper Flagg. And this kid, he's 6'8", who passes the you-know-what out of the ball. He defends. He doesn't shoot it great yet, but he can score. He's athletic. He kind of has a little bit of like a combination of Max Good compared him, the former MCI coach from Maine, compared him to Detlef Schrempf. Another guy I know compared him to Tom Chambers because he's got that type of athleticism. Okay. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. So I ask you, Bob,
right?
Who is the best player ever to come out of Maine?
As any Mainer will tell you, you can only hope he's half as good as Cindy Blodgett.
That's a good one. I did not expect that answer.
That's
Bob's right. Bob's right about that.
And the reason, there's two reasons for that answer. One, I wanted to be a wise ass. Yeah. And two, I honestly have no other candidate, a native Mainer. I think of
there's a kid, Andy Bedard, came out of my hometown. He went to BC for a little bit.
Yeah, he transferred back.
Coaches Cooper Flagg. I saw his
now.
son.
Is he? Oh,
his son is a rising freshman.
Oh, and, okay. He's from my hometown.
Yeah. Bedard
loves this stuff. His grandfather owned Ralph's Market, where we bought our meat.
Yeah, I remember Andy, and I remember at the time that he transferred. But I can't give you an answer, so I'm sticking with Cindy Blodgett.
Cindy Blodgett is awesome. What is he at MCI? Where is he?
He is. What high school? He's going down to Montverde Academy. He is at. Hold on, I'll tell you what high school he's at right now.
No, that's all right.
No, I'm going to tell you because you need to know this. So he's from Newport, Maine. He goes to Nokomis Regional.
Oh, wow. Man.
He's got a twin brother, Ace Flagg, who's probably more of a Vermont level player.
Yeah.
So anyway, the greatest men's basketball player to come out of Maine, according to one Max Good, is Nick Cantor Medley, who went to Maryland, who's played overseas for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. I couldn't have identified. I remember him, but I certainly didn't know where he was from.
Yeah, not a lot of talent comes out of Maine. Now, that AAU team with both Flagg brothers and Bedard, and they got a redheaded kid on that team that his name is escaping me right now. They might have 3 or 4 Division I players coming out of Maine.
Wow.
And they got another kid from Maine, a big kid who's being recruited by Duke right now, who's like going to be a junior or a senior. So Maine is loaded right now.
Oh, Maine.
How about that?
Mecca.
Raise the stud for dear old Maine. All right, guys, it's been great. I love the Maine basketball talk. Bob, Jeff, we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, guys.